Prabhakar at the blacksmith shop. Prabhakar watched the iron tools like axes and sickles that were laid out for sale at the local shop. A bright fire was burning. It was hot and noisy at the smith's, but he was fascinated as he saw the two men who were heating and beating metal rods into shape. Iron tools and agriculture. The use of iron began in the subcontinent about 3,000 years ago. Some of the largest collections of iron tools and weapons were found in the megalithic burials. Around 2,500 years ago, there is evidence that iron tools like axes and plowshares were used increasingly. Axes were used for clearing forests and plowshares for increasing agricultural production. Other steps to increase production. Irrigation. The kings and kingdoms existed with the support of flourishing villages. New tools, system of transplantation, and irrigation increased production. Irrigation works that were built during this time included canals, wells, tanks, and artificial lakes. Who lived in the villages? There were at least 3 different kinds of people living in the villages of southern and the northern parts of the subcontinent. In the Tamil region, there were large landowners known as villalars, ordinary ploughmen called the uzavar, and landless laborers, including slaves, known as kadaisiyar and adimai. In the northern part of the country, there was the village headman. He was called the Grambojaka and was often the largest landowner. Normally, men from the same family held this post. As he was powerful, having slaves and hired workers to cultivate the land, he collected taxes from the village for the king. He also acted as a judge and sometimes a policeman. There were independent farmers called the Grahapatis, who were mostly smaller landowners. Those who did not own land were called the Dasa Karmakara. These men and women worked on the fields owned by others. There were also craftspersons like blacksmith, potter, carpenter, and weaver. The earliest Tamil compositions. Around 2,300 years ago, Sangam literature was composed in Tamil. These were the earliest works in Tamil and were so called because they were compiled in assemblies known as Sangams of poets that were held in the city of Madurai.
Children, you have seen a small video which will give you a fair concept about the topic. Now, in this session, we are studying about the life of the people during that time. We are studying about how kingdoms were established, how they expanded, how did the kingdoms survive, where did the kings get money from to maintain armies and fight wars. Kingdoms could not maintain themselves unless they had villages that were doing well. For villages to do well, they had to have farms, farming tools, and good water supply, which is also used as the part of irrigation. Kings built artificial lakes, canals, wells, and tanks so that farmers could get regular water supply and grow good crops. When the farmers earned well, they could pay more tax and the king could get money more. The life in the villages in this part we also discuss. There were mainly three different labels of people that lived in the villages. Rich people who owned a lot of land, farmers who owned some land, and landless workers and slaves. Other than the farmers, there were also craftsmen like blacksmith, potter, carpenters, weaver, etc. The landless people worked for any of the other groups to earn money. Now, think and discuss about the part. What were the different kinds of people that lived in a village? Try to explore the answer from the given video and the discussed part. You will also think and discuss why were the kings interested in building extensive irrigation facilities for farmers. Here there are few more questions which you need to explore. That is, how do we know how people lived in India so many years ago? How do we get the details of history from such a long time ago? From sources of history, it is the answer. How do we know how people lived in India so many years ago? And where we are getting details, it is obviously from the sources of history. Finding about the past, we guess how people must be living from stories of that time. There are also paintings, carvings that give us an idea of what must be going on at that time. Inscriptions, books, and records of other travelers give us more information too. Archaeologists have found wells, toilets, drains, some parts of walls, and some pottery too. They still have not found too many houses or palaces. If they were made of wood, thatched, or mud, they would not survive after so many years. Archaeologists have also found a lot of coins. Coins tell us a lot about a period. They give us an idea of what technology existed from the way the coin is made and what was considered important at the time too from the inscriptions. The earliest coins were punch-marked coin, as you can see in this slide. The design was punched on the metal. Inscriptions in temples and shrines also give us a lot of information. Most of the time, they mention gifts given to the temple by people in the community that give us an idea of the occupations and richness of the people. Craftsmen like weavers, painters, and others must be doing well too. However, things like textile, leather, paintings cannot stand the test of time for so long. Normally, pottery is what archaeologists find as it lasts for long. We know about textile manufacturing centers from the inscriptions. Craftspeople and merchants formed groups called Srenis. The Srenis helped to train the people, get raw material and sell products. They also acted as banks. Now another time to think and discuss. What were Srenis? What was their function? Today, after this, we will discuss. After that, the next video, I am going to explore the theme in detail with the textual reference. I hope this video is going to help you out to have a fair idea about the chapter. See you and stay tuned with me for next video. Goodbye.